Uh, Thank you for finding time to join us in our today's event, My Entrepreneurship Journey. My name is Fatan Limani. I'm the president and founder of Albanian School Illyria. And today, it's my honor to introduce to you Mr. Admir Molla, who is one of Albanian American successful entrepreneurships here in New York, in the United States. He is a managing director of Isoline company. And I'm going to let him introduce himself in more details and tell us about the business he runs and also his entrepreneurship journey. Admir, floor is yours. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Fatan, for everything that you do for our community, and thank you for having me. Good morning or good day, depending on where you guys are. Thank you for taking part in our in this event. Truly appreciate you guys being here. Isoline North America is a branch off of Isoline, which is in Europe. Isoline is owned. The parent company is Jota Group, and it is a factory that manufactures roofing and waterproofing systems. The factory was bought in Germany about 15 years ago, 15 years ago, and we relocated it from Germany to Kosovo, specifically in Prizren. That's where it's headquartered, the main manufacturing plant. The idea to bring the products to the United States was about 2 years ago. I visited Kosovo in the summer, and my entire life, I started working at as an intern at an immigration law firm when I was very young, in my very early 20s, with the idea of, I had this mindset that there are a lot of Albanians that are trying to flee, trying to find better opportunities abroad. And I always felt like the immigration system was so unfair. And my whole notion was that I was going to do immigration law and try to help out as many people as I can and try to combat this unfair system that we have in the United States when it comes to the immigration system. But then as I got older, I started to realize that, you know what, if we can somehow, some way figure out a way to make our homelands better, and we can get to the root of the problem. So the sacrifices our parents and grandparents made, other generations, and people in present day Kosovo, Albania, wherever Albanians live, they don't have to make those same sacrifices. I thought that would be the more patriotic thing, and I think that's where we can have the biggest impact. So idea was born, like I said, about 2 years ago. I was with my uncle. We visited the factory, and someone who has no prior experience when it comes to construction, I had no idea what these things were, even what they even were. I've never in my life even been on a roof. I've only been on one roof my entire life, even running this company, because I'm scared of heights, and I'm just I don't want to cause any issues as someone who's not very handy. And knowing that there's so many Albanians that are in the construction industry, specifically roofers, we just thought it would be a great opportunity to have a direct impact. So that's when we started to export to the US. We started about 2 years ago, give or take a year and like 10, 11 months. And so this year, we've already doubled up our sales from last year. And that's also including the fact that we were 6, 7 months where we really didn't have much work because of COVID and everything going on. Even in Europe, they had to shut down the plant. But things are looking hopeful. The reason why, like I said earlier, yes, this is a business opportunity for me and my partners to make money, and but it's also a great opportunity for us because we truly are making a direct impact. We now have about 10 new employees that are employed in Kosovo, and that's not just 10 individuals. Those are 10 families that can live in Kosovo, can earn a living in Kosovo, and they don't have to pack their bags and make those sacrifices. And I truly hope that we can create a precedent, because we are the first factory that is fully made in Kosovo that exports to the US. And I do hope that others will follow suit, and that we can create a new precedent, that we can actually do something where people are proud of the hashtag made in Kosovo, and people are going to be proud of the products we make. At the end of the day, we are in Europe, so whenever we meet with clients, we tell them this is a European product, and that is a huge bonus, because European products for the most part have a good standing in the United States. And I would really encourage the rest of you guys, if you guys want to get involved, or if you guys have any ideas and you're worried, but because of such a small country and there's not really potential there, or whatever the case may be, I beg to differ. We have a great group of young people who are not only bilingual but trilingual. Some of them speak 4, 5, 6 languages. It's quite amazing. Very smart group of people. Most of the hard labor is done in Kosovo in regards to on the technological side. Our website was built in Kosovo. Our brochures, our catalogs, everything, that's all in Kosovo. The plant is in Kosovo, so there's a lot of great young talent out there, and they just need an opportunity. And I think a lot of times when we talk about economic development, especially in Kosovo and like in the region, we only focus in on how we can build relations. Like unfortunately, we have now with the mini Schengen, which is how they want to create a free market between Serbia, Kosovo, Albania, Macedonia, and a few other countries. And I get the free flow of commerce is vital for economic growth, but I think we as Albanians need to focus first on building economic relations amongst each other. And then once we are in a better position economically as an ethnic group and as our nations, then I think we can expand and we can work on working with our neighbors. But we do have a huge diaspora in Europe, specifically Germany and Switzerland, Austria, and the United States and Canada. We're looking to now expand into Canada. We have a few potential partners that want to partner up with us in Canada. And I think once we do that, and once we're in a better position economically as Albanians, and like I said, we build that relationship up first between Albania and Kosovo, and then with our diaspora, I think we'll be in a better position to at the negotiating table when we do end up making those agreements with Serbia and Macedonia and the other countries in the region, because we'll be in a stronger position economically. And at the end of the day, it's when you go to the negotiating table, the party that has the upper hand will usually end up gaining more than the party that has less. So I really would encourage everyone from the diaspora, but also back home, to not have this stigma that yes, we're a small nation and think that we're inferior. Now, I'm not going to pretend like we can start manufacturing iPhones or tablets or something super advanced. Like we're not gonna build airplanes and export them to the U.S., but we can definitely think of different products that we can actually start to export and have meaningful impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Admir. Can you, before I open the floor for questions, can you tell us a little bit more about your personal entrepreneurship journey, of like challenges, and how did you overcome them when you started to think about doing business here in US?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. One of the main challenges is that is breaking that stigma. I know when I first started, a lot of people were not really fully on board with the idea of Albanian products. We unfortunately always have this mindset that if something's Albanian, it's not going to be good, or whatever the case may be. It's funny. My best friend, Michael Ziskin, he's American. We've been friends since the 4th grade. He was, I pitched the idea to him. He's a finance guy. He works at HSBC. And I said, Michael, I have this crazy idea. What do you think? You want to come on board and do this 50-50 with me? And he jumped right in at the opportunity. He's a great friend. He loves Albanians. He's gotten to know our community very well, in our 20+ year friendship, and he jumped on board. And it is a little disheartening sometimes that someone like that will jump at opportunity and not look at the little stigmas that we have about our homelands and the people back home. But he jumped at the opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. That was a huge barrier. It's just getting people to realize that yes, we're not an advanced country at this state, but that doesn't mean that we can't have great products. That doesn't mean that we can't sell or manufacture things that are great. My parents always tell me that especially in Kosovo, Ferizaj, Jakov, and a couple other cities in Kosovo, we had so many factories that really ran Yugoslavia, and there was just amazing factories and you know, after the war, unfortunately, things just, you know, didn't pan out because and rightfully so. You know, we get it, because the war happened. You know, we became a very isolated country, so it's very hard to export. But I do think that right now this is a great opportunity. So that was a big hurdle. It's just breaking that stigma of going to meet people and telling them, like, yes, we understand that when you think of Kosovo, you think of a war and you think of things, you know, not being great, but you really need to, you know, comprehend that it's been 20 plus years since the war. A lot of the young people are not really influenced, you know, uh, they don't really have a direct connection to the war, in the sense that they're just looking for ways to live their life and have an opportunity to stay at home and live a good life and have a good job, and call Kosovo and Albania home and not have to pack their bags and flee. Another big challenge is that Kosovo is relatively you know, when it comes to geography, it is a landlocked country and it is far from the United States. So the transportation and everything on that end, it is an issue sometimes. But you know, working with MSC and a couple other partners in Dors in Albania, that process is way more smoother now. Again, not many companies have exported out of Kosovo to the United States, so for everyone on board, it was a learning lesson. But I truly do believe that we do have now a good we do now have a good process in place. It takes about a month for everything to be brought over, so that was a big issue in the very beginning. We are very fortunate that I know a lot of foreign businesses do deal with a lot of corruption in the region, but we were fortunate that, one, we do have a parent company there that they can handle a lot of the local issues, and then we were also very fortunate that we were able to reach out to the mayor of President, Mr. Mutaher Haskuka, and he's been a good friend to us from day one, and very reliable, and the municipality of President has, whenever we've ever needed them, although to be fair, we haven't really asked for them for much, they've been a good friend to us, and if we've needed their help, they've been a great resource to have. So that's very encouraging, because I know a lot of people are always very disappointed that it's tough dealing with politics in the Balkans. And then I also have to thank you know, the consulate in New York City and also the embassy down in Washington D.C. We've had you know, questions and some concerns in the past, and they've been very helpful as well. So you got to give credit where credit is due, and they've been very helpful as well.
Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you have any questions for Admir, feel free to ask. You can just open your mic and ask the question. You don't need to wait for or raise your hand.
Admir, hi. Ardian Prechi here. Hope all is well.
Thank you. Hope all is well with you as well.
Good luck on your, hope you make a very successful case and millions of dollars. I have a couple of questions, but I joined in late, so forgive me for the pretext. You said that you manufacture roofing products,
yes,
or building
products.
Okay. My question is specifically to the standards. How do you guys deal with the manufacturing a product in Kosovo and then shipping it to the US to be, you know, ISO approved and per the regulation of the US standards in terms of, you know, building regulations and so on and so forth? How is that? Can you talk to us a little bit about those challenges? How do you guys overcome that?
Yep. Thank you, Ardian. That's a great question. So first of all, we are fortunate that the factory itself originally was a German factory that Jota Group bought in Germany and relocated to Kosovo about 14, 15 years ago. So they were already manufacturing in Germany. So it's called EN, European norms, which are European standards. So we are able to then just capitalize on those on that opportunity. And then so that's originally what we did, was that we talked about the European standards, and European standards are you know, classified as in good standing in the United States. So that's one of the beautiful things about Kosovo is for whatever it is in Albania and, you know, the region, is that yes, we do have our 101 million issues, but we still are a part of Europe. Whether some Europeans want to admit it or not, we are in the European family, and which is absolutely fantastic for us when it comes to the American consumer, because once they hear European, they're automatically going to assume good quality. And then we're able to then just capitalize on the European standards, and now we are in the process. It takes about 6 to 7, 8 months to transfer those standards over to American standards. So it's called ASTM. So it's basically like the exact same thing when it comes to like European norms. So it's so now we're in the process of getting those American standards finalized. One of the biggest issues has been coronavirus, is because we can't, unfortunately, at the moment, go and go to excuse me, we can't you know, with travel restrictions and everything else happening, the techs, you know, the people from the labs here in the United States can visit our plant in Kosovo because of the travel restrictions. And then there's been a few other issues, but fingers crossed, God willing, you know, we do feel that once things turn around from this pandemic, and at the end of the day, you know, we do talk a lot about, you know, the pandemic and the economy, but you can't have a thriving economy until you can have under control a health issue. So hopefully we get this virus under control, people can somewhat get back to a normal life, and then we will have the lab from the United States head over to Kosovo to do their inspection of the factory, and then also give us the certificates, the American certificates here in the United States. And then we do hope that we will grow drastically, because then we will be able to, you know, the contracting companies that then can buy our products, and they can use them on public projects such as schools, hospitals, and other tax funded projects, or like airports or whatever the case may be. So that's where we're banking on, is the fact that you know, once we're able to get that testing, then we can really grow and not just focus in on the private jobs, but then we can go into the public work as well.
But as of now, you're able to sell regardless of those challenges.
Yes, correct. So we are able to sell. We're actually even able to sell to some public works, because some municipalities at local levels, they respect the European standards, and are okay with using the European norms and the standards as you know, to be in good standing with like American standards. And at the end of the day, European standards for the most part are considered a little more prestigious or a higher level than American standards. So when we pitch to some of these companies, and we tell them like, hey, look our paperwork, look at the fact that, you know, we have testing done in Europe, they take that and they realize that, you know what, like some of the standards, European standards, are actually much higher than American standards. So that's actually been such a benefit for us. And the way we approach it is that once we finish up the American standards, we're going to be able to pitch that, hey, we have both standards from across the Atlantic. We have them in Europe and we have them in the United States. And we think that's going to be such a selling point, and it's going to benefit our company drastically. But like I said, it's a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to Americans. You talk about Kosovo and you tell them that it's in Europe. As soon as they hear Europe, they're usually way more comfortable. You know, there's a stigma when it comes to like Asian products, that a lot of people, once they see it's made somewhere in Asia, that the quality won't be there. And obviously that's not always the case, because, you know, there are products made in all over Asia that are, you know, amazing, and they're great products, but the stigma does exist, and it's a huge benefit for us that people do respect European products.
Hey, great, thank you. And good luck
Thank you,
again.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ardian, for the question. Thank you, Admir. Anybody else?
Yeah, okay, so I'll bite. Thanks, Admir, for the presentation. I think it was very nice to hear again how is it going and the process you have made. I had a few questions in terms of looking at your case as a way to develop Kosovo's economy, because from what I see, you know, you live in New York and the market there is like huge. And I think that even if you have just a small market share of New York roofing stuff, whether that be roofing or even anything else, you could potentially employ half of Kosovo with just that, you know. And so I was thinking, like, how does currently, like, how are the economies of getting market share working there, and what do you envision has to happen for you to kind of like have exponential growth, like double, quadruple the flow of goods from Kosovo back to New York?
Thank you, Mr. Goshi. So a few things. One of the first things that I think is really important to highlight is exactly that. You know, Kosovo has 2 million people, and you know, and the U.S. market is just, you know, we have over 330 million people. Just the New York metro area is about like 28, 29 million people. First question is, we've actually been able to expand outside of New York as well. So we've been able to sell in right now in Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, and we've also been able to get a few shipments down to North Carolina and Florida, which is fantastic. And our whole idea is so one of the great things about this business in the United States compared to Europe, in Europe, Invisalign has over 35 to 40 competitors. There's just such a huge competition of manufacturers, where in the United States, there's 3 or 4. Why that is, I'm not 100% sure, but it just seems like in Europe, there's, you know, maybe based on the different countries, the different languages, or whatever the case may be, there's like a much bigger competition than in the United States. The way we've been targeting the people here is that we have a European quality product at a low and at a better price. So that's been like our that's the way we've been targeting like companies. And so a couple of things that we're trying to do to, like I said, we actually doubled our sales from our first year to our second year, which is pretty amazing considering the fact that we lost 6 months. We lost March, April, May, June, and July, and probably like most of August. Like August, we started, you know, being able to work a little bit, but we did lose about 5-6 months, and we were able to double up our sales. So some of the things that we're doing to grow our, you know, grow our businesses is that one, we're working directly now with people. So instead of just focusing on selling directly to companies, we're working towards creating a system where we do 2 things. One, we target supply houses and people who do wholesales. So one of my business partners has been able to get in touch with someone at Lowe's, which is a huge company in the United States. So the idea is that would be one angle. That's one angle that we're targeting, is these supply houses, these big chain stores, or not even big chain stores, but also just more like the local building supply stores. And then the second thing is creating a system where obviously, you know, we can't be at all places at once, and creating the system of basically having people go out and be regional representatives, and they take on the role of you know, running the day-to-day operations in certain locations. You know, we have someone we just got onto the team that lives in North Carolina. He's going to be taking some of our products, and they're going to be fully in control of, you know, getting the product out and selling it in the Carolinas. And as it pertains to helping the economy back home in Kosovo, there's a lot of it's quite remarkable that a lot of people are excited to actually make a difference. I had a woman reach out to me from Calgary, Canada, and she heard about the company. She owns a supermarket, and she was like, I don't know what you're selling, but can I buy it? Can I sell it? Because I want to help people back home. And I was like, listen, I don't think this is a product that you can sell in aisle 7 next to like lettuce, but I'm like, you know, maybe we can, you know, maybe we can talk about, you know, if, you know, maybe you or your family have some connections, and, you know, we can definitely expand. And so people are very excited about this opportunity, and people are really excited about actually making a difference and doing something meaningful. You know, I feel like us Albanians for centuries have been stuck on this folkloric patriotism of, you know, you grab the chifteli and you grab the flag and you sing songs, and that's patriotism, and that's beautiful, it really is. But we really need to really focus now on growing our economy, keeping people home, and giving them an opportunity, a better life. And we were able to, just by us expanding into the US and a little more into the European market, we have 10 new employees, 10 new families that are able to live in Kosovo, have a good life. And that is a small domino effect that people now can, those 10 families now have a little bit of money where, you know, they can go out and, you know, and eat and go to a restaurant. And that's the snowball effect of, that's how you can make a direct impact. And I think that's what we really need to focus on. And if this company grows, and then we are looking to expand into other industries as well, because you know, we've had a couple other people reach out to us about other products that they feel like are great products at better prices, and they want to hit the US market. And if we can just start doing that little by little, I think that is going to have some meaningful impact. And at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the West that maybe they reach out to some of these Asian countries to manufacture the products that they want to sell, or whatever the case may be. And I do hope that we do have a government in place soon where they can have sort of like an office where the diaspora specifically can go and reach out and say like, hey, this is my business idea, or this is what I want to sell. Can you guys help me find someone that can make this for me? Or can you find me a group of people that can do this for me or provide this sort of service? And I think once we have something like that in place where it's transparent and it's and it gives people an opportunity that they feel comfortable, or they don't feel like they're getting shaken down, or whatever the case may be, then I think we truly are onto something. And we can make Kosovo like our little China, you know, like obviously we're not, you know, obviously we're a very small country, but we can turn Kosovo and Albania into our little China of these manufacturing plants. And you know, obviously the cost of manufacturing in the region is a lot cheaper than anywhere else if you compare it to like the West. So it's definitely a great opportunity. And I think we could and we can really do some good work and employ a ton of people. We just have to grow little by little, and we just have to start realizing that we have to respect you know, what we make, and we can't, you know, have this mindset of just because something is Albanian it's not good. You know, that's not really a great mindset. You know, even for little things like hajvar, you know, you go into a supermarket in New York, one of these Balkan supermarkets, and all, you know, like hajvar, or, you know, chocolate bars, they're from Macedonia or Croatia or something. Like, I'm pretty sure I know a handful of great people that can make some good ajvar in Kosovo and like other products. So like we really need to become what I like to call it is, we need to become economic patriots above all else, and then everything else can come after. Because once you have a good economy, it's going to feel a lot better to sing and dance and, you know, wave a flag, because we, you know, we'll have a little bit of money in our pocket and a little bit of wealth and a little bit of power in the region.
Thank you, Admir. Anybody else has any question?
Yes, Prof, it's me, Maniola. Admir, congratulations about your work. and for helping the families in Kosovo. It's a good courage, but even the initiative is an inspiration for the other people, not only for Kosovo, but even for the Albanian people. And my question it is about your experience. I don't know if you have afforded corruption people in Kosovo. I need an advice from you how you afforded them.
So your question is, how did we get, how do we bypass the corruption in
Yes.
Kosovo?
Yes,
So,
because Kosovo and Albanian people, the mindset is the same. But
100%. We are
I don't
one at the
want
end of the
to
day.
make you
Kosovo and Albania are
uncomfortable.
one.
But if you don't have any experience, if you have heard from the others, you can share it.
100%.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I need this kind of advice because I'm a foreigner in my country. I didn't present myself. I am Manula Peria from Tirana, Albania. I am the of NGO ALVA, Albanian Values, shqiptaro-amerikan. We have many aims how to improve our life based on values, but focus it is even the development of tourism, cultural tourism. Also, we have afforded this kind of corruption, but we didn't have until this moment how to afford it to break the problem and to achieve our aims. And thank you. Congratulations. Good luck in everything.
Thank you so much for your question. And when it comes to corruption and Albanians, just a little background on me. I will never sit here and pretend like, everything is, it's beautiful and, there's no issues or whatever the case may be. I'll be the last person in the world to make such a claim. I'm very active on a political end as well, because I do feel like, that is the biggest thing in Kosovo and Albania and other Albanian lands is corruption. And unfortunately, it is a disease that has been eating at us for, a lot of people will say, oh, the last 30 years, but I think it's been, probably even further than that, minimum the last 100 years. But this is why I'm optimistic as well. Like what we did to bypass that is, there are a lot of, especially younger Albanians that don't want to deal with the issues that their parents or grandparents left for them. There are a lot of young Albanians who are educated out in the West, or they're well versed or whatever the case may be, and they know that if you can. So like one of the biggest issues when it comes to corruption in Albanians is we keep our eye on the short term. Like my mother always had this saying, I'll say in Albanian because it sounds better. You have to throw the rock like further out. Like, you have to look at it from, the big picture. You have to think about it, in the long term sense and not, just short term. And a lot of Albanians are very short sighted. So I feel like if we really want to do something and you want to like bypass some of the corruption and everything, you have to find Albanians who, and there are plenty, this is where I feel like I'm very optimistic that I'm not gonna say that a good chunk of Albanians are corrupt. I'm not gonna say that, a good portion of our community is corrupt. I do think that corruption is a huge issue, but I think that it's a smaller percentage of people who only care about themselves and their individual in their individual pockets and interests that are going to fight tooth and nail to keep the system the way it is, corrupt, because that's how they profit. But what we did, and I feel like others need to do as well, is that you have to find those locals, people that live there, that love their country, that love where they're from and love their people and want to see it better, and they don't want to see what it has been for the last 30 years where it's the same handful of 10, 15, 20 people that have all the power and all the money. And I think once you find those partners on the ground locally and they're good people who are fed up with everything that's been happening, I think that's when you become successful. We have a great staff of people back home in Kosovo that are dedicated. They will not, that they will do whatever they can in order to combat that. And I also feel like this is from a personal experience. Some of the people that work for Isalign back home are people who are educated out in the West. You know, we have a couple of people. You know, we have two people who study in the United States. We have one in Turkey, one in Austria, and a few others scattered around. And we have like a relatively younger staff back home. And those people are they were fortunate enough to live abroad and see what it's like to live in a system where it's not about corruption. It's not about just earning a few bucks quickly or fast money, but it's about creating a system. And once you have a great system in place, then you can actually move forward. I think the biggest issue with Albanians is, and this is like political, economical, we're always looking for that Superman, that that strong figure that's going to come in with their magic stick and they're going to make sure that all of our problems disappear overnight. That's not going to happen. But real patriotism is going to be on the people who are not focused solely on changing the faces, but changing the system. Because if you change faces, then guess what? The system's not going to change, and it's just going to consume those people, and they're going to become the problem, and it's just going to be like a revolving door. But once you actually put in the, once you actually have a better system in place where you don't tolerate it, then I feel like that's where you can have really good impact. And I do think that in Albania and Tehran and in Kosovo, Pristina, Prizren, whatever the case may be, you can find a ton of good people who are not gonna be sold out for a few bucks, and they're gonna think of the long term, and they're gonna think about what can we do to make this place truly home and make this place worthwhile and worth living in. So I wish you and your colleagues the best of luck, and I have a lot of faith in people like you who are doing the great work back home, because at the end of the day, if we didn't have the people that we have in Kosovo, none of this would be possible. We are a direct reflection of them and the amazing work that they're doing, and them saying what, no, we're not gonna put up with this nonsense. We're not gonna let you guys strong arm us into paying you guys off or whatever the case may be. And then and also, last point I'll make about corruption, elections matter. People, we live in this and especially Albanians from Yugoslavia, I guess because we've been living occupied for so long, for centuries, that we have this mindset of the government is not ours. Like the government, shteti and cheveria, there's somebody else. They, where it's like, oh yeah, if I steal from the government, it's the government, like screw them. But no, the government is us. That is a reflection of us. And that's why we need to be optimistic. We need to vote. We need to have our voices be heard, because they have a direct impact. Prizren, we're able to do some better work because the people of Prizren 3 years ago decided that they wanted a new government in place. They wanted a local official who studied abroad, who came in with some different perspective on things, and he put in a pretty good administration he created a good administration where they became very friendly to especially companies that want to export. And that's a huge thing that we seriously need to rethink this mindset of everyone is exactly the same and nothing will ever change. Because with that mindset, then we're just going to recycle the same people who have left us in these terrible positions. So at the end of the day, a lot of people say oh, I don't want to tie business to politics, but it's hand in glove, unfortunately. And when you have good governing in place and good people who are going to combat that corruption, then you do have some opportunities for some legitimate growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Admir. Thank you, Manuela. Anybody else?
Thank you, Admir.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I may just maybe add something to Admir's, since it's so quiet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also ran a couple of businesses in Kosovo for a while and lived there most of my life. And the corruption thing is what everyone brings up. And I think you know, there is corruption with the, you know, different sectors of the industry, and especially of the government, where licenses are needed and other things. But then there's like a lot of other fields where you can do business and you won't have to deal with government so much, and so you are basically free. So like, you know, if you need a license for manufacturing construction material, like in Kosovo as they call it, gurthyas. I don't know how to say that in English. And so if you need that, then, you know, obviously you're gonna have to pay someone. But if you are exporting something or doing something in software or intellectual property or anything else, basically the government is out of your way. So if you want to start something, you usually don't want to start with all the things that can go wrong, because I feel that it deters a lot of people from starting things. You know, if it's corrupt, then do it. And then if you hit corruption, then that's like, stop there, but don't just stop yourself from starting just by thinking without that, because there's hundreds of people doing business all over in Kosovo and Albania, and not all of them are corrupt. I know it from experience.
Yeah, it's a great point you make. You know, a lot, you know, it's easy to be a pessimist, but you know, it's a lot better to be optimistic. And there, you know, there are a ton of good people out there that are willing to work and you know and put themselves out there to be a part of the right thing. And you know, we have this fascination with, you know, it's corrupt, so I'm not even gonna try. But you know, at the end of the day, we do have to try. We do have to work hard, and we do have to combat it. And these are real issues that people face. But at the end of the day, nothing's gonna be easy. So you know, the way I look at it is, if we wanted to have a company that manufactures something in China or Indonesia, whatever the case may be, it would be very naive of us to think that we'll never have any issues. But it's a lot easier to have issues in Kosovo because yes, there is corruption, but you can still have people on the ground that you know, family, friends, that can fight for you and make sure that, you know, things will progress and things get better. But if you have issues somewhere in Asia or wherever the case may be, it's a lot harder for you to have those conversations, or to make, you know, or to, you know, persuade them otherwise, because at the end of the day, you know, who do you really know there? You don't really have any connections. So you know, like I said, you know, I'm not going to pretend like there aren't issues, but those issues, I feel like you can turn them into opportunities if you're willing to work a little hard and a little harder, and just persuade people. Like I'll give you one like quick story. Like we had a conversation with someone when we first started, and you know, they were giving us a little bit of a hard time, like saying like, you know, it was a little bit of a little teasing about how, you know, they're gonna hit us with taxes on the border, you know, because we're going to America and America has so much money, or whatever the case may be. And I remember joking around to them. I said, well, I know you also own a restaurant, don't you? And he was like, yeah, I do. I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense if you just, you know, you don't give us a hard time? Because if we employ more people, and he owns this like little restaurant in this place called Shadırvan, and Shadırvan in Prizren is like, you know, it's right by, you know, right across the river. It's like this historical area. It's beautiful. And I was like, don't you think it's a good idea if, you know, we hire more people are going to come to your restaurant and bar, and they're going to spend more money? So doesn't it make more sense logically on your end to say, you know what, I'm not going to give you a hard time because I want the people who work for you to have a little bit of more money. And if they have a little bit of more money, then they're going to come and spend that money in your restaurant and bar. So at the end of the day, long term, you're going to make way more money, because I'm like, you can like try to strong arm us and make a few bucks right now, but that money is going to come and go. But if we want to look at it long term, if we're successful and we grow and grow and grow, then those guys every Friday are going to show up with, you know, with their families, and they're going to have something to eat, or they're going to get something to drink, or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, economically, it makes no sense for you. And he started laughing. He was like, you know what, that makes so much sense. Like, and I think that's what we really need to convey to people back home is that, yes, corruption is fast money, but it's not the most lucrative. And I think if we can convey that message to these people that if you guys want to be economists and you guys want to make a little bit of more money, then cut it out with the corruption, because a lot of the people that are corrupt own a lot of these businesses. So at the end of the day, they're going to profit more long term. So I think that's what we really need to convey. It's, you know, if we can actually get these people to you know, spend some money and make some money back home, then it's literally a win-win for everyone. And you know, there's I probably I'm off by a little bit. There's like this Chinese saying that they have that you know, if you give someone fish, they'll have lunch or dinner for one night, maybe a couple of days. But if you teach people how to fish, then, you know, they can support themselves and their families for the rest of their lives. And I think that's a, you know, really important message that we really need to convey to people back home. Like, let's not fully be dependent on, you know, on quick money, but let's actually like try to like get them to have these, you know, like learn these hard skills that are gonna, you know, have them, you know, gonna benefit them long term, and they're gonna be able to make some real money and have good opportunities and good jobs moving forward.
Well, thank you so much, Admir, for participating and finding time to share your story, your incredible story. I mean, one of the reasons it's why we do this, it's to show to young people, especially in back home, that, you know, there are opportunities you can do even by being in Kosovo or in Albania or wherever you are in our homelands. You know, you don't have to always think about like, yeah, I'm going to start something and do I have market in Kosovo? There is the rest of the world. You can always provide products or services to the rest of the world. And especially, I mean, we are right there. We are neighbors with the European Union. Also, we have a lot of diaspora in here in US. And it's there are a lot of opportunities. They're not easy. I'm not saying, you know, they are easy to do. But if you are persistent and you keep looking for the people and the right connections and work with the people, work together, everything is possible. So thank you so much, Admir, for giving us that example today, for showing us that it is possible. It is possible to produce from Kosovo and export outside in United States and other countries. That is very, very inspiring. And thank you to all for participating today and finding time to share today with us your good questions and also your presence. I encourage you to stay connected with the school. You know, if you haven't signed up for other programs or workshops, I encourage you to do so. We have a lot of events and workshops that we do on a weekly basis. And we're going to continue also with this activity, my entrepreneurship journey, in coming weeks and months. And we're going to bring you more Albanian businessmen, successful businessmen here in US or maybe in other parts of the world to share their stories. They are all our programs and activities are free of charge for Albanians wherever they are. So this is also a great opportunity for us to get connected, like, you know, people from our home, Albanians in our homeland and also Albanians abroad. This is a great way to come together and share ideas and see how we can work together. You know, you never know. You might be in one of these events, you have a business idea and here, maybe it's Admir or it's somebody else who has a similar interest. And that's how things happen in the economy and in a business. So please keep coming to our events. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Once again, thank you, Admir, and thank you everybody for participating today. You have a good day and a good week. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.